Hi there, it's Jeff
and Cassandra
from RV Parenting, and this video is going to be a complete review of our Newmar Baystar. It's a 2020 that we bought in the fall of 2020. I don't remember the specific model number, but I know you know.
It's actually floor plan number 3312, and the reason I know is because Newmar has several options to choose from, specifically with the Baystar. So this floor plan, it gives us 3 different options for seating. You have the train car seating, and you have 2 sofa sleepers as well. And that's probably the biggest difference in that floor model.
Beggars can't be choosers if you're looking to buy an RV in 2020. We found that out the hard way. We probably would have selected a few different options, but we just didn't have the option, and we really wanted to do a lot of traveling while our big girls were doing online school. So we got this one. We're really pleased with it. There are going to be some pet peeves and a few minor issues that we talk about in the video that you're going to see. But overall, what do you think?
It's a big purchase, and I love it. I have no regrets over it whatsoever. A lot of people are actually transitioning over to RV motorhomes and fifth wheels this year because 2020 gave us a surprise. But the good news is with that, you have lots of options. And quite frankly, I'm glad we ended up with the Baystar. I love it.
This particular one has 2 slide outs, both on the driver's side. There's a big slide out that runs the full length of kind of the living and kitchen area. And then there's a smaller one back for the master bedroom. I have seen other Newmars that have more than the 2 slide outs and sometimes on the other side, but that's how ours is configured.
And what I like about it is it's not too big. But if you're a first-time RV owner, then you know that, size does matter. So if you're going too big with an RV, then, you're going to have to worry about what roads you travel on. And you don't want too small because, your lifestyle might be grand and you need your space. And I feel like the 34-foot is just right.
Yeah, I was going to say, that being said, she's not the one driving it. I'm the one driving it. And sometimes 34 feet does feel a little crazy big. But I do know the next time we buy an RV, we probably will get one that's slightly larger than this.
And we definitely love Newmar. We've definitely looked into getting the Canyon Lake, but of course this is way down the road.
But I think now let's kind of take you around the exterior before we move into the interior. But like I said, this is going to be a complete review that shows you everything about this RV from head to toe. But let's start to take a look around the outside. So along both sides on the outside, you've got lots and lots of storage options, and they all lock with a key, and they all lock with the same key, which is a plus as well. In fact, the only side panel that doesn't lock is the one where the generator is. But let's show you kind of what these storage compartments look like, just so you have an idea of how much storage space you're going to have out here. Let me open this one. It's already unlocked, so I'm just going to kind of open it up for you, let you see. Let me move the camera a little closer so you can take a look inside. So as you can see, all of the doors have hydraulics that help them open and close, and they do have light fixtures in here, right here. I leave the master switch on, but you can individually turn these on or off. But I like to have the master switch on. That way I can just turn them on or off all at the same time. There is also some additional storage space up above the compartment there. I'm talking about up here. But where you have the slide outs, you want to make sure and not store anything up there because those are obviously moving pieces of equipment and you don't want anything to get jammed up in there. My only beef with these doors, I'm going to close this, is you do kind of have to like slam them shut. This one's actually pretty good, but I found that you do have to kind of close them pretty hard to get them to close all the way. But let's show you some of the rest of the storage on this side. We're on the passenger side of the RV right now.
So this is another one of our storage units, and here you can see that we have our firewood and portable speaker system, which tells you it's going to stay nice and dry on the road or off the road. We put everything in these storage units, including inflatables for Halloween or Christmas, dog crates, dog fences, our camping chairs. You could put a fire pit over here, one of the little table pits. I wouldn't do one of those big gas propane ones, but you're not going to need that anyway. It has a lot of storage space, and you're going to use it, especially because inside, that's where you want your necessary equipment, where your clothes, pillows, and blankets. Out here, this is going to be your outdoor living storage.
So here's just one more of the cubbies. This is kind of where we kept our Halloween inflatable since we were out traveling during the Halloween season. And one thing I love about this one, it's not very big, but if you notice here, there's an outlet right here. So we would just plug our inflatable into that, kind of set it up here on the side of the RV, made it very, very convenient. We would also plug in our portable Bluetooth speaker there as well, even though that also holds a battery charge. But having outlets on the outside of the RV was a great plus.
So this is a storage unit that I mentioned earlier that has our dog crates in it. We also put our stroller in here for our toddler. What I love about these dog crates is we got them on Amazon. They came within 2 days, pretty quick shipping. They fold and maneuver quite easily, and they'll fit in any space in the RV. We actually just had them set up in our kitchen. We'll post a link for that product in the descriptions below. But here you can see that there's lots of room. So we have our dog crates, umbrellas. If we wanted to put any, like an ice box here or anything else big in the room that needs space for your outdoor living style, you've got it here. But let me move out of the way for you so you guys can take a closer look yourselves.
And if you can see inside there on this upper part, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, where you kind of want to avoid putting anything up there that could get caught in the slide out when it's moving in or out. But lots of room down below. So I'm down here at ground level to show you one of the 4 leveling jacks that we have on our RV. And of course, these are automatic leveling jacks. You theoretically just press a button in there by the driver's seat and then they level themselves. A few things to note. One, the parking brake has to be on in order for it to work. You also sometimes have to have the engine on. In other words, the key in the ignition and the engine on. And I would know when I needed to do that because the leveling panel would give me a low battery alert. I didn't always have to do that, so I'm not quite sure why that is, why it's not consistent. But brake on, key in the ignition though, whether you have the engine on or not, you do need that key in the ignition in order for the leveling to work. What I found though was that it was very rarely actually leveled the RV perfectly. I would usually have to go back and do a few minor adjustments, and there's buttons for all 4 leveling jacks to go in either direction. So it wasn't too hard to do that. Being the kind of nerd that I am, I actually brought a level with us and I would just kind of check it because I don't want to sleep, you know, with the RV like this or like that, but maybe that's just me. So I misspoke earlier when I said that the panel where the generator was unlocked. The generator actually does lock. It's the propane tank that's unlocked. And this is where your propane tank is, and this is where you refill it. I will say that we were gone for a month, and obviously our stove is propane, but we only used a quarter of this tank here, being gone for a month and cooking on the stove almost every day. So it really is super efficient with the propane.
One of my least favorite aspects of the Newmar Baystar is the outdoor shower. I was really looking forward to having this. I love going to the beach, getting in the sand, getting all dirty, and then washing it off before I go inside my RV to relax for the day. So I'm going to show you where this is located and all the problems that I had with it. And mind you, I'm under 5'4", so I'm not very tall. All right, so we open it here, opens up, but instantly with the slide out, you're going to run into it. And even if you're under it, it doesn't reach very far. So that was a really big problem, especially when you have 3 kids and 2 dogs and 2 adults trying to rinse off after a day in the sand. So that's honestly my biggest complaint with the Newmar Baystar, is that yes, it's nice to have an outdoor shower, but make sure it's functional.
So I definitely agree with Cassandra about the length of the shower. It does look like the kind of thing where you could detach it, either get an extension or a replacement that's longer. We haven't done that yet. I just kind of wanted to show you down here what's going on. So you've got the fill for your freshwater tank and also for your water supply from the campgrounds you're in. I do have a flow regulator on here, which is recommended. It just literally just screws right in. Campgrounds are kind of notorious for changing the flow. After all, if they've got hundreds or even just dozens of RVs there, they have to have a pretty steady water pressure flow to accommodate everybody. And when people you'll leave and turn the water off, that can increase the water pressure for the remaining RVs, and you don't want your system to be damaged by a sudden increase in power. So the flow regulator helps there. Also has a little screen here which gets really dirty because campground water sometimes has a lot of debris in it too. So if you ever notice that your water flow inside is low and you're connected to a water supply source at the campground, check this little screen here and see if it isn't clogged. Other things to note here, you can connect the hose here to flush out your black water tanks. All you have to do is connect the hose there and then turn the water supply on. It'll automatically start to flow. And if you want to fill your freshwater tank while it's connected to this one, just turn this little valve right here so that you can fill it up. You can check how full it is on the inside. It would be a little nice if there was some sort of gauge down here, but there's not. But I do want to say, whether you're talking about water, sewer, and electric, which I'll show you in a second, hook all of that up before these annoying slide outs go out. It'll be much, much easier to hook up. So I'm down here now next to the fresh water, which is right there. This is the black and the gray water drain. And basically you're going to run your hose wherever it's going to. It's going to kind of come up through this hole in the bottom. You just take the little cap off. You connect it right here. I'm not going to do that because it's kind of gross and I don't have any hand sanitizer handy. But once you've got it connected here and wherever you're running it to, you just open the gate valves. There's one for the gray water and one for the black water. That starts it flowing. Some people, we noticed, did have this kind of cool little bridge thing that goes from high to low that helps gravity work on getting all of that liquid through the tube and into the drain. We don't have one of those, but we do plan to get one because that enables it to flow all the way to the drain rather than just sort of sitting there and getting kind of stinky. We did not use this panel here, which is carpeted, just because we didn't want to put our hose in there and have it get the carpet all nasty. We instead stored our hose right in this little unit here. That way it's kind of out of the way and separate from everything else. And then the last compartment we have here is for our electric connection. There's a nice long hose here, as you can see. And there's a little kind of gasket right here that kind of cuts in that enables you to kind of do it like that. That way you can close the door again and even lock it to prevent theft if you needed to do that. But let me show you the end of this. We have a surge protector on ours, and we were told, much like with getting the flow regulator for the water, that a surge protector is a good thing to have for the electric because some campgrounds have old, outdated electric, and you never know when there might be a big surge and you don't want it to kind of pop your whole system. So this protects that. So the actual cord from the RV plugs into the surge protector. Then the surge protector plugs into the box there at your campground. What I traditionally did was I turned the breakers off at the box. I plugged in just the surge protector, flipped them on, checked the lights here, and if you got 3 green lights across the top, then you're good. Then I would turn it back off again, plug in the RV, and then flip the breaker one more time. A few extra steps, but it's worth it just to make sure you're not damaging any of the electrical components in your RV. The other thing that we got that we didn't actually use on this last camping trip were some adapters to go from 50 amp to 30 amp and then even to 10. Just know that the lower you go, the fewer things you're going to be able to operate in your RV. We didn't actually encounter any campgrounds that didn't have 50 amps, which is good. That meant we could run everything, including the air conditioner. So real quick, I just wanted to show you the rear camera on the RV. This RV is equipped with 3 cameras, and the left and the right automatically kick on based on your turn signals. And then if you put it in reverse, this rear camera kicks in and you can see all of it on the main screen there just to the right of the driver's seat on the inside. It was a huge help. Obviously this thing is big and doesn't have a rear view mirror, so these cameras were indispensable in helping us back up and make turns safely. So real quick, I wanted to show you these controls. These controls are located directly above the door to the outside. A few things to note here. We didn't actually use half of this stuff. The battery disconnect button is great for when you are not on generator and you're not on electricity at a campsite and you don't want to drain your battery down, because the lights and things do operate just off of the battery power. So you flip that to off to cut that, just to make sure you don't drain your battery completely. The steps come out automatically when you open the door, and then they retract automatically when you close the door. However, you can flip this switch to the up position to keep them fully extended as long as you don't have the keys in the ignition. That was pretty useful when we got to a campsite and we didn't want the steps going back and forth the whole time. This operates the main slide out, which I'm not going to do right now. This one extends or retracts the awning, which runs almost the full length of the passenger side. This button here was very confusing. It says awning lights, if you can see that, but just switching the button didn't actually turn the lights on. Instead, you have to do that with this remote. And I had to read the manual to figure that out. Could have been a little less confusing, I think. The remote is kind of a nice option, but I don't know why you'd have a button there that doesn't actually do anything unless you have the remote handy. This is another panel that we used because this shows you the fullness levels of the freshwater tank, your propane, your gray water, and your black water tank. So it shows you all of that so you can easily tell if you need to dump, if you need to fill up, etc. So this was a good little area to kind of become familiar with. We did not actually use some of the rest of these things that I didn't point out. Okay, so now we're inside our RV, and in a minute we're going to show you some of the individual features of this. Again, it's a 2020 Newmar Baystar, but this kind of gives you a big overview of the lighting, the sizing. What do you think?
The height, definitely kind of just lets you know how much space, you know, two people take up.
As with most RVs, you can get one of many different floor plans. Our floor plan for this RV has two slide outs, and we do have both of them extended. There's one big slide out here that's all the way out, and a little one in the back bedroom that's also all the way out. But again, we're going to show you all the individual features here one by one. So let's get into that now.
Modern technology is really exposed here in our RVs. For instance, our television is actually in the living room right now, but they conveniently call it a televator. If you follow me, I'll show you how the televator works. Just walk on over here, press the button one time, hold it, and then let the magic of the televator work.
No one will be admitted during the scintillating television rising scene.
Usually this is coming up and down when you're unloading your RV or getting set up, so you know you're not watching the enthusiastic part of the televator in all of its glory.
Okay, so I wanted to mention how you get signal to your television. There's also a second television in back, and we'll get to that in a minute. But up here is where all of your, basically your media equipment is going to live. And this is smoked glass here, so you don't see it. But if you have infrared remotes that need to be able to reach the equipment, they can go through that glass. So it's a nice feature. And up here, you've got a few different things. It does come with a Blu-ray player, and then it comes with a couple of little kind of routers, essentially, where that have HDMI inputs, and you can plug things into it. So what we do, and we have another short video on our channel that goes into greater detail on this, is we bought a couple of Roku Ultras, and that's the top of the line Roku streaming device, obviously, and we just connected that to these, and then they have a USB port on the side, so we connected an external hard drive to that. We downloaded a bunch of movies, you know, legally of course, because you can download from Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, all of those places. You can download things and put them on this hard drive, and that way, whether or not you've got Wi-Fi, you still have things to watch. So that's what we did. We didn't really end up using the Sony Blu-ray player that came with it, but it is here if you need it, and then there's extra HDMI inputs if you need that too.
I'm going to show you how our sleeper sofas work. These things are incredible. Our two daughters, her ages 12 and 13, but are full-size, adult size, if you know what I mean. We have one that's 5'5", sleep very comfortably on these sleeper sofas. They're super easy to use, especially if you're from the 90s like myself and are used to the futons. So you're just going to go down here. There's a lever, metal lever, probably about 2 inches long. Slide it to the left, fold out, and done. Easy as pie and very quick to do, which is always a plus when you've been on the road all day. So something we decided to get on the road for our daughters that were sleeping on basically a futon in our RV was a foam mattress top cover. We found this one. It's about 2 inches thick on Amazon. We'll have a link for that in the description if you want more details on it. Put it on over. You can cut it to size. We didn't really see the point in doing that. It worked just fine. Also, another added bonus, twin fitted sheets work perfect on it. So if you have a bunch of twin fitted sheets or even full size sheets, you'll find that this is a great match for your RV.
So real quick, I just wanted to mention while we were kind of in this position with the couch that this backing board is basically masonite. It's kind of like a very, very thin particle board. It's just nailed up here. It's pretty flimsy. I love this RV, and I know my wife does too, but I am going to be showing you all of my pet peeves about it, just so you have all the information if you're interested in buying one of these. But this is pretty flimsy, and since our daughter sleeps here, it wouldn't take much for this to get kicked in, broken in half. Now, luckily, it wouldn't cost much to replace, but something a little bit more solid here, since this is a six-figure RV, would have been a little better.
So, who doesn't absolutely love a swivel co-pilot chair? I do, and it's great for when you're on the road and kind of need to tend to the kiddos and stuff. I didn't really use this feature as much when we were, kind of stabilized, because our older girls, they kind of sleep in our living room, so there wasn't much need for me to use it as in that case. But it did feel great being able to have all this spacious room, be able to move freely as the vehicle's moving if I needed to. I've got a desk, which comes in handy because I am a student, or if I was working, I could be working, from the computer desk. It's got a great view, obviously. Who doesn't like sitting up in the front? It's really great. I didn't use the cup holders as much as I probably could have. I was afraid to put my cell phone in here because I kept setting it off. But aside from that, yeah, I really dig this captain seat or co-captain seat. I keep saying captain because I run the ship.
Okay. So this is obviously the captain's chair, the driver's seat. This is where you're always going to find me when our vehicle's in motion. And overall, there's a lot that I like about it. But as I mentioned earlier, I am going to share with you all of my pet peeves. After all, this is a six-figure RV, and there definitely are some things that my wife and I don't like about it, and we're going to talk about them in this video, just so you have a clear understanding of it. But the visibility is great. I love how big this windshield is, and I can see everything. I also love the fact that I can lower the shade, the front sunshade, while the vehicle's in motion. It doesn't go down all the way, obviously, for safety reasons, but it does go down far enough to block that late afternoon sun if it's coming right into my eyes. And I can do that quickly and easily here on the dash while I'm driving. I can just lower it down to where it's a good comfort level. The side sunshades, however, cannot be pulled down without me standing up. And obviously I don't want to do that while the vehicle's in motion, but there have been plenty of times where that afternoon sun is coming in from the side and is really kind of brutal, and I have to unfortunately stand up and pull this thing down. If there was a string that hung down, like just some sort of something that I could pull down and let it back up again while the vehicle was in motion, that would be a lot better. The other pet peeve I had is there's not a good place for my cell phone up here. This little cubby here, I don't know what that's for, but it's not big enough for a cell phone. The cup holders also aren't very good for cell phones. Speaking of the cup holders, though, neither one is really positioned very well for the driver. This front one, I have to bend way far down to reach, and that's obviously not very safe if the vehicle's in motion. This side one over here to the left is a little bit better, but it would be far better if it was positioned on the other side of the auto levelers. I could reach it much more easily, but it would, of course, be great to have a dedicated place that holds your cell phone. Not because I'm going to be using it while I'm driving, but we very often have the map going, and it's nice to be able to have that in close proximity to me. If we've got kids yelling in the back, I need to be able to hear the map. So those are my pet peeves for up here, but overall, pretty happy. This chair does turn around like Cassandra showed you with her chair. It's a little clumsier though, because there's not quite as much room to move, so I have to kind of shift it back and forth to get it to go all the way around. Not a big deal, but a little minor pet peeve.
So this is our dinette set. I really love this feature because it reminds me of sitting in a train car, and I actually believe that's how it was described in the brochure that we received. It's the train cart. It has an extending table leaf, so you can extend it while you're not in motion, or you can leave it in. It adds probably about 4 inches to your table length. Jeff used to set up his computer here. This is kind of his workstation, or Asher and Julie would sometimes work here as well. Many breakfasts and coffees and teas had at this table. It was really a great jumping point for us and our family on our travels.
To me, I just want to say that to me, this is at least 6 inches, but that's the difference between the male and the female brain. My biggest pet peeve with this area is the lack of outlets. As you can see behind me here, there's 2 outlets right here, but one of those was always in use with the television. Ideally, the television would have been plugged in down below, but it wasn't when we got it, and so we had to plug it in here using up one of the 2 available outlets. And there's not really a way to, there is an outlet underneath the television back there, but there would be no way to get to it without removing some of those masonite boards I showed you earlier. So kind of a design flaw there. I added this little power strip and this little multi-plug here just to give us more options, because if we got 2 laptops going, maybe a couple of cell phones and the TV, we just needed more outlets than that.
But there is plenty of storage space too. Underneath each booth is a slide out drawer, so that's where Asher and Julie would keep their supplies. They each had their own drawer. Another great feature is we have the double blinds here. We have this one, which was wonderful when we were traveling through, you know, places where there was a lot of sunlight, not a lot of trees, like Oklahoma. You don't see as much foliage. So we would pull these down, but you can see a little bit in the background. But at night, when we were ready for bed, or just some privacy in general, we pulled down the blackout one, which is tucked away, and it obstructs all light. And I don't recommend having this up during, you know, the day while you're traveling, but definitely at night for sure. You don't want to miss the scenery. That's the best part of being on the road, is the scenery. So this is the kitchen. This is my home away from home and my home even on the road. So when we bought the RV, the kitchen was a really important part of it for me anyway. Newmar spared no expense. They got great cabinetry work, wonderful drawers, plenty of space. The sink I love. It has these tops to go over it. So there's extra storage when you're on the road. We actually put our Keurig in here and then we just take it out because I don't know if you can see, but there's outlets here and here. So, you know, Newmar really thought, if I'm going to have a kitchen, it's going to be small, what's everything we can put inside of it? And they really came through with me on that. The kitchen did not come equipped with an oven. It did come with extra drawer space. This is where we put our plates and our cups, cutting boards, you know, mixing bowls, all of that assortment. Because the microwave is not only a microwave, it's a convection oven as well. I'm a little skeptical of all things ingenuity. If it was up to me, I'd still be cooking over a, you know, a live fire pit. But maybe that's just the Texan in me. I don't know. I do plan on trying it, and I look forward to putting recipes on our website. Anyway, here we have a 3-burner top, obviously gas. It's been fantastic. We used it for an entire month. I cooked every single day, and we haven't had to refill our propane tank, so it doesn't really use a lot of gas. Easily stows away. I did find that if I wanted to leave my fruits out here while we were traveling on the road, nothing moved. Everything was very stationary. So I really applaud Newmar and how they built and structured their kitchen. Another consideration when purchasing an RV is the refrigerator size. We were told by other people, reading reviews, friends who have RVs, that you want to get a big refrigerator if you have a big family. And I think 5 is considered a big family. It's got a lot of space in here. We were easily able to put a gallon of milk in there, eggs, veggies, meats, yogurts, plenty of room for beer, wine, fruit cups, you name it, it fits in there nicely. The freezer is a little bit smaller than I would like it to be, but honestly, we didn't use a lot of frozen foods. Mostly we bought fresh foods if we were going to be going to the grocery store. Here is the lock actually. This took a while for me to understand how to use this and get it to lock, and even then it didn't lock effectively, which I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, so my trick was you open the freezer door, shut the freezer door, slide over the lock. It's supposed to click, which it doesn't always do that. And then you take the bungee cord, only in motion. If you're parked, you don't have to do this, but in motion, and then we hooked it here. And that is literally how we kept this beast under control while on the road. If not, I literally had to catch mayonnaise mid-fly when the door flung open. I happened to be walking by on the way to the restroom. Eggs came flying out of here, had to clean that up. It was mayhem. Anyway, so the refrigerator is a great size, but they really need to work on the locking mechanism. It was not very well thought out. Another thing about the kitchen that is not really my favorite is this gigantic clock. Ideally, if it said 5 o'clock, I'd be totally fine with that. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, especially when you're on the road. However, you can't change the time on it, and it's screwed in, so there's no way to even get to the back of it. We literally have to take it to the dealership to have them remove it. So I don't know what they were thinking when they did that, but it was, you know, it looks nice, but it's not really functional. Next to the refrigerator, another important thing in an RV is your pantry. You need space for all of your food, and not just road trip food, but like when you're parked and you want to cook a meal for your family food. I love the pantry here. They really did an exceptional job, which Newmar is just known for that. If it sounds tough when I'm pulling it out, that's actually a good sign that these are not going to come sliding out when we're traveling down the road. So don't panic if you buy it. It's like, this is a little stiff. The stiffer the drawer, the better. I cannot express that enough, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so what I like about this, it slides out, and these are deep shelves. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves, and I tried my best to fill these up to the breaking point, and I could not do it on our road trip, and we were in here for a month. My only complaint about it is I'm under 5'4", and if I needed something in the very back, I needed somebody taller to come and get it for me. So I don't have my step ladder here, and sometimes that could be a little inconvenient when you're on the road. But aside from that, I absolutely love the pantry that is in the Newmar Baystar. So this is the entryway into the master bedroom and the bathroom of the RV. This is a sliding door. Usually it's supposed to be locked. Ours is broken. We don't know how that happened or when it happened, but it stopped locking in place, so you can just slide it back and forth. Unfortunately, on the road, what would happen is it'd be locked in place and it comes sliding and crashing down, and all of us be like, what's going on? It's just a door shutting, you know. Every time Jeff was like, what's happening? So that's kind of one of the biggest problems with this door, is it doesn't stay locked in place. And when it was locked in place, I mean, you had to press down really hard on it. Jeff and I were the only ones to be able to get it. Our older two, who are 12 and 13, weren't able to figure out how to get that unlocked. So that's my biggest issue with this door, is just the locking ability isn't that great. So this is our master bedroom. This is what they call an RV king size bed, which is about the size of a regular king size bed, just a hair smaller, because RVs are, you know, kind of compact houses, if you will. I love this bed. Cannot say enough good things about the memory foam mattress. I slept like a rock every single night. It was fantastic. We have all these windows, but again, Newmar has, you know, the blackout curtain, and then you have the screen, so there's lots of ways to get privacy and have natural lighting at the same time. What I love doing in the mornings is getting up, making a bed, opening all the windows, and just really embracing my surroundings, because that's the point of being on the road, right? So in the master bedroom, Newmar did a great job with cabinet space. We have 4 different compartments above the bed, and there's also 2 separate smaller ones. That's typically where I put my hand lotions and my perfumes and other little personal items that, you know, you want to keep safe and kind of, you know, secluded in a safe spot. We also have a storage closet, which I'll show you that in a minute, that you could open both sides. Everybody had their own levels. We got the television over here. We have another closet. I absolutely love this master bedroom space. My only complaint with it is that when you're on the road and you have your slide out in, the bed has to be folded. So I'll show you how that goes, but it's not very tricky at all. And you can leave your beds made and just fold it over, and the slider will come in just fine. And look, even more storage space. This was a great place to put all the extra blankets and pillows that Asher and Jolie may have needed. And Layla's toys, if I needed to pick those up in a hurry before we got on the road, I just shoved them in here. It was fantastic. Something else really wonderful about this master bedroom is all the lighting. I love lots of lighting. We have the overhead lights, we have our accent lights, and then we have the lights that are also over the bed that have a switch right in the middle, so it's easy access when you're laying down, you want to read at night, or just kind of ease into your morning. There's not enough great things I can say about having fantastic lighting in the master bedroom.
So unfortunately, back here in the master bedroom, you do not have the televator. You do have a TV conveniently mounted here on the wall, though, and it does have a magnetic lock that kind of holds it in place. So right now it's flat against the wall. It's not going anywhere while the RV is in motion. Then at night, if you want to be able to see it a little bit better, you just pull it out like that, and it comes at, you can set it at any angle you want, basically all the way out like that, and then it just goes back again. And it has the same smoked glass cabinetry and the same media equipment that you saw up in the front. Okay, so my only pet peeve, and you knew I had one, my only pet peeve in the master bedroom are the location of the power outlets. After all, at night, that's when most of us charge our cell phones. And unfortunately, while there is an outlet on each side of the bed, they're located down here. Kind of hard to reach, especially when the bed is folded all the way out. It's very hard to get to. And I don't know why that was the only place they could think of where they could have gone. I would have much preferred them here on the side maybe, or even above there where the light switches are for the little overhead night lights. Okay, so this is one of 2 closets in the master bedroom. So in here, you've got 4 shelves. So we each had our own shelf. The biggest downside to this, well, for one, it's not super deep, but like I said, the other one is a lot deeper, and we'll show you that in a second. The biggest downside to this one is that when your slide out is in, and obviously it has to be in while the vehicle's in motion, while your slide out is in, it comes almost all the way to here. You can't get into here whatsoever with the slide out in, and that's a little bit of a drag.
So here we have the big master bedroom closet. This thing is huge in my personal opinion. We were able to fit all of our clothes in here. And mind you, this is a family of 5 traveling in the south where the weather is fluctuating between hot and cold. So we had coats, we had sweaters, we had hoodies, we had it all just to be prepared. And it fit wonderfully in here. As you can see, it's a big closet. It has plenty of lights. You have the overhead light, you have the closet light. Up here we kept all of our chemicals, cleaning supplies and that sort, blankets, towels. If it needed somewhere to go, this is where it went if I had to get easy access to it.
All right, so Cassandra already mentioned that it's a little bit of a drag that with the slide out in, this bed has to be folded up. So that's a little bit of a drag. My bigger pet peeve, however, is how much room you have. Even now with the slide out, you can see the relatively small amount of space here. If I want to walk around, I have to kind of do this thing. I'm not exactly a little guy, but I'm not exactly huge either. And so if somebody is larger than I am, they might have a real problem squeezing in between the wall and this bed. And I don't know where they would have put the extra space, but I feel like this was one of those areas where they didn't quite get it right. Okay, so obviously I'm in the bathroom, and the bathroom is just here next to the master bedroom. And I have 2 pet peeves, as you probably guessed by now that I might, about getting in and out of here. And one is I was always catching my pockets either right here, because again, it's not a very wide opening. This is about as wide as the door will open. And a round knob would work far better than this kind of hook knob, because I was, like I said, I was constantly catching my pockets on it. And then this door jamb thing over here, where the bolt goes into, sticks out way far. And if I was squeezing into the bathroom, I was always catching my pocket on this thing. Just some minor pet peeves, but I want you to be aware of that if this is the RV that you decide to buy. But let's take a look at the bathroom itself now. So as you can imagine, RV bathrooms are never spacious, and trying to record a video in one is really, really challenging. There's not really enough room for me and the camera and for me to be able to show you the bathroom. But here's the door that we just looked at, and then here's the sink. As you can see, nice counter space there. You've got some nice cabinets up above and down below. You do have some nice little outlets right here that are GFCI protected, so they've got that little surge protector that trips in place in case you get water splashed in the outlet or anything like that. You also have easy access to the water pump switch right here. Of course, there's a water pump switch down below where you hook up your water connection, but it's nice to have the option right here as well. And of course, the water pump is for when you're not connected to a water source like at a campground. If you're just using the water that you have in your holding tank, you do want the pump on. If you're connected in a campground, you don't need the pump on. You've got the toilet right next to it. And then, like a lot of RV toilets, there's a little flush pedal here that you press down with your foot. And if you press it down halfway, it'll fill the basin up with water to a certain level. So that can be useful too. You've got a conveniently located window there, of course, with the dual shades that we've been showing you, and some more cabinet space up above. The bathroom also comes with a ceiling fan, not the kind you're thinking of. This is more of an exhaust fan, just like that. And there's another one of these exhaust fans in the kitchen area. And then, of course, just adjacent to the toilet, you've got the shower stall, which is actually pretty spacious for a RV shower. You've got sliding glass doors there that do lock in place. That way they're not bouncing all over while you're driving down the road. Overall, it's a pretty nice bathroom, definitely on the larger side compared to some of the bathrooms that we've rented before. And like I mentioned, the only pet peeves I have are with the door handle and the little the exit out of the door. It's just not a lot of room there, and it's easy to catch your pant pocket on that thing. Okay, so this kind of concludes our review video of our Newmar Baystar. Again, it's a 2020 Newmar Baystar. We bought it in the fall of 2020. What are your final thoughts?
It's been a perfect RV for us for a first time. We definitely want to upgrade, definitely want to get something a little bit bigger, but I think, you know, overall, I've been very happy with the product. I look forward to having more Newmars as we purchase more RVs.
Yeah, and you know, it's not like we're itching to buy a new one next month, but having been out on the road in this thing for 1 month right after we bought it, I think we can all agree for a family of 5, it'd be nice to have a second bathroom, maybe not a second shower, but at least a second toilet stall. And it would be nice to have bunk beds for our big girls, just so they can kind of have more privacy and have their own space, and so that their bedrooms aren't also doubling as our living room. But overall, we had a few pet peeves with this thing, but we really do love it. We think it's a great RV. If you're considering an entry-level Newmar, I think it's the way to go.
And it's a great investment. Newmars don't lose a lot of value. So if you're looking to resell and purchase a few years down the road, then you're already set up. I mean, real estate's location, location, location. And it's no different with the motorhome. Newmar has great quality. They have wonderful space for living. Floor plan mishaps, that was on us for not understanding, you know, the importance of individual space, of a bunk bed or overhead sleeping camper. But overall, yeah, it's been great. I absolutely love the Newmar Baystar.
So if you liked this video, please join us on our journey of talking about RVs and family life on the road. Hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button. We'd also love it if you gave us a thumbs up for this video, and we'll see you in the next video.